Hello everybody, this is Sophie. Welcome to another video. This is going to be kind of a longer format video again, so feel free to grab your sketchbooks and whatever drawing material you want to use and join me and draw with me. Otherwise, feel free to watch this video or use it as a podcast or whatever you want, but this is going to be a longer sort of video. I'm sure you already see the timestamp, but just letting you know. This is a little bit of a slower video. I woke up in the morning. This is the first thing I did. I just pulled out my sketchbook, or actually this is a separate sketchbook, but I'll talk about that in a second, and just had a really chill painting session because I needed to slow down after last week's video. And I think I paint almost every day in this sort of fashion, just very slow, using watercolors. I love using watercolors. I've never actually used them on my channel, which is so weird because I think they're my favorite art medium I suppose to use. And I've never used them here, but there's something so liberating and natural to me about using watercolors. Like, it allows me to create pieces of art I wouldn't have thought up if I wasn't using watercolor. Does that make sense? There's something just so natural and flowy, and I couldn't even imagine some of the things that watercolor creates by the way it granulates, and it's just so wonderful. I love using it. So what I'm actually doing here is I am planning my sketch for the first time ever. I swear, I don't plan my sketches that often. So, or even bigger pieces. I don't plan anything, which is not the best sometimes. Sometimes it works out, but I have a separate sketchbook here, which is really a toss-away sketchbook. I love doing this. If I have an idea in my head that I just want to get out, but I don't want to put it down in my sketchbook because I don't have the energy to make it look good or whatever, I just quickly sketch it out. Like, if you see on the right-hand side of the page that little square, that's what I would normally do. Just a little tiny sketch like that where I can kind of figure out where things will go and remember the idea and create it when I want to create it. So for the first time, I thought I would actually do this before a piece and put some effort into it rather than just creating a little mini version so I remember the idea. So I figured out sort of the color composition and where I wanted things to go because I want to work on my process for bigger pieces, because I know this is just a sketchbook piece, but I haven't created a bigger piece of art, like a final piece of art, I think since last summer. It's really been a long time since I've thrown myself into a big piece of art, because I know I talk about this so often on my channel, but I'm scared I'm going to mess these things up. And I get so excited about my new ideas that I don't want to see it ruined by me not putting all the work I can into it. And I don't think sometimes I have the skills I need to create the piece. And so what I'm trying to do today is sort of experiment a bit with my process, which leads me to a little bit of an announcement. Like, I swear every single video is me announcing a new series, but I think maybe next week I will start a new series on my channel, which will be a process exploration, I suppose, a process exploration series where I'm just going to try and experiment with using different art materials and how I want to make my process. Like, do I want to sketch beforehand? How do I want to use all the materials? I don't know. It's a long way to say I'm going to explore my process. So this is the first step I kind of did in this. And this is actually sort of exciting because last video, when I was doing my 100 head challenge, I remember thinking a few times, I really wish I could just create some more surreal, some more imaginative ideas with all these faces. I'm tired of just drawing from reference, face for face. And so what I'm doing today is I'm doing exactly that. I'm taking a few of the faces off the reference board. I'll put them on the screen right now. I used 4 different faces and sort of combined different features of them together to create the ultimate bearded man for this painting, because I found some of the faces had softer eyes, some of the faces had a better beard, some of the faces had the hair I was looking for. So I combined them all together to create this guy, and I sketched it out on a loose piece of paper that is going right in the recycling afterwards. And so it was no pressure. And then I put some I experimented with the color using watercolors to figure out my color palette. And I really wanted it to feel almost like, I don't know if I achieved it, but sort of like a fairy tale composition, but I think in the end I got more. It reminds me of rubber ducks in the water. I don't think that's applicable, but I chose the blues and the yellows, and I like it. I really like how it turned out. So I did take that final sketch that I did on that other piece of paper, and I put some pencil on the back so I could transfer it, but I made sure I didn't want to ink it beforehand, which is, I think, my normal process when I do final pieces is I ink the piece and then I put the watercolor. But it's weird because I love sketching with watercolor because of the flowiness and just the abstract nature that watercolor allows me to create these pieces I couldn't have thought up, right? And if I do the lines first, I won't be able to achieve that. So I knew that doing the watercolor without the official line work down would allow me to create a sort of looser, more expressionistic, is that the word? More abstract piece that I think I'd be happier with. And I think that did work out in the end, and I am happy with it, which is very good. And also, what I learned from doing the drawing beforehand was I wanted the face to be in the top left-hand corner rather than the bottom left-hand corner, which I probably would have just struggled with fitting everything in if I had done it right on this piece of paper. Does that make sense? This is all over the place. But anyways, point is, I'm working on my process, and the idea behind this sketch was I kind of wanted to create this bearded man who is a protector of these little babies. And I don't think the babies turned out looking perfect, but I do like how the bearded man turned out. So, that's progress, I suppose. Maybe I should have also sketched out the babies beforehand. We're learning. It's okay. I wanted to make it almost like this wise and kind protector that's watching over these little babies while they sleep, and his beard is being used as a blanket. I don't know. I had this idea in my head. I think the day after I did my 24-hour challenge, yeah. I think I had it right after, and I didn't create it because I wasn't sure how to go about it. And so I figured, why am I going to sit here and think, how am I going to go about this? I should just experiment with how I'm going to go about it. So with this piece, I really let the watercolor granulate and do what it wanted to do. And I wanted everything to be loose. And I figured I can fix anything with the pen afterwards. And so for this piece, I'm actually using these watercolors, which I have had since, I think, 2017. I've had them for at least 3 years. I know that. I bought them with a gift card and I've loved them and I've used them since then, and they haven't ran out, which is crazy because then I think about all the YouTubers that get so many watercolors every week to try out, and I'm like, what the heck do you do with all of them? Because I've had this one since 2017 and I use them, I swear, almost like I use them every week for sure. Maybe not every day, but close to right now. So I'm really using these in a very liberal and artistic way, not trying to stick within my original sketch, just trying to let the idea flow out, if that makes sense. I know this is all over the place, but So the point of this piece was just to take a reference photo, which was pretty basic, it was just these bearded men, and see what my mind could do with them. And what my mind could do with them was apparently this. And I wanted to really get out of that pattern that I've been stuck in of just drawing from reference, which is weird because if you look at the rest of my sketchbook from my last sketchbook tour or from my current sketchbook, which I realize you can't see right now, but I will do a sketchbook tour once this is done, I never draw from reference unless it's my own reference. Like sometimes I draw from my own photographs, but generally otherwise I just go no reference, loose with watercolor or loose with color pencils, and draw stuff out from how I see them in my head. I don't know. But I just love to go in it loosely and just see where my mind takes me. And I don't know why I've been stuck in this pattern of just every single day drawing from reference, which doesn't make me happy. And so this is the first piece in a long time where I've gone ahead and just loosely not drawn from reference, which is really exciting. I mean, taking the reference and use it as a stepping stone to get this creative idea. So I am using this Fineliner to line this piece, and I put the original sketch next to it so you could see how much it changes from the original sketch because I didn't line it first, which I think is very interesting because at this point I am lining it with the placement of the watercolor in mind rather than where I had originally thought the lines would go, which again allows me to create pieces I wouldn't have been able to think up if I didn't put the watercolor down first. So what I'm doing here is I am loosely outlining the hair and the eyes, and then eventually I go into the beard, which the beard took a lot more work. And I really like how this guy turned out. And I think this is my first time, other than the 100 head challenge, drawing an older bearded man. And I like it. I like how he turned out. The babies, on the other hand, could use some work, I think, in my opinion. I think the first two that I did turned out not the best, but the third one turned out better, which is a good sign. And I use reference for these ones too. I always make a Pinterest board with the reference photos I use if I use reference, so I will put those down below. If you, for some reason, want to see pictures of bearded men and babies together, go ahead and use that reference board, I suppose. And yeah, I don't have that much else to say about my ideas for this piece, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about the future of my channel. So like I said, I really want to create that process exploration series. But other than that, I really want to start working on just doing less from reference, just exploring what my mind wants to create and really focusing on creativity. And I think that if I do that, skill will go along with the fact I will improve my skill because I'm drawing every day, rather than focusing on improving my skill, which obviously sometimes I need to do, which I realized during the 100 head challenge, because that challenge taught me a lot. If you didn't watch that video, go watch it. This video will make a lot more sense. But yeah, it taught me a lot that I need to improve some stuff, but also that I don't want to go about improving it by just drawing 100 heads and eventually getting better. That's not fun. I mean, it's good for practice and helped me draw this bearded dude, but it wasn't as much fun as it can be to draw, and I don't want to take the fun out of drawing. So I really just want to go ahead and create more creative pieces, more surreal pieces, and really push these ideas further. Like, this is the first step, I think, in where my channel will be going. This is a very simple sketch. It's just in my sketchbook. It's just for fun, but I want to create bigger pieces too, because I haven't been exploring that whole side of art, which is creating final pieces and not putting pressure on yourself, but just, adding to the fact that you want to create something that looks really good in the end, rather than putting pressure because it's just going to go in your sketchbook. Does that make sense? I don't know. This voiceover's all over the place. After my last video, I really wanted to just create a very chill video. I'm not going to script the whole voiceover like I did for my last video. I just went in this. I'm sitting on my roof. There may be background noises, Anywho, I used this mysterious bottle of ink. I don't know what the brand is. There was never a brand on it, but it is from a set that I have with nib pens, which I really love using. I will probably make a video in the future using them because I use them a lot, just not on my YouTube channel, which is a funny thing that I do, is don't use a lot of the materials I love using. So I use this in the background, and I really tried to achieve this flowy texture, which I think this is the first time I achieved this properly, because in other parts that I've used this on this paper in the sketchbook, I never got this sort of flowy, loose, granulating look within. I think I really achieved it, which is exciting. I put some washi tape down on the edges to make a little box around the babies and bearded guy, and I will peel up the tape nicely for you guys because I know a lot of people like seeing that. And yeah, I did leave the pupils out, which I realized at this point that I put the pupils in with the ink, because I was like, wait, why did I do that? And I kind of like the piece without the pupils, but now there's pupils, so that's okay. And I think, here we go, I will start peeling off the tape, and this is the final piece. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's just a little sketch in my sketchbook, but I think that the idea itself is really fun, and it would be really cool to put that into a bigger piece. So here's how it looks versus the little sketch that I made originally, and you can see how much it changed, just the positioning of the beard and the way he looks. I mean, a lot of it changed. Maybe not for the better, but I think it was fun. And there's the original color palette I thought I would use. I'm just showing it all to you so you can see how much my ideas changed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you enjoy this video, you could subscribe or not. Then you could see some of my bigger video ideas I have for the future. So thank you. Bye-bye.